All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more from FanCon. We have right now with us. Can I see the belt? I'm a belt mark. I'm sorry, I can't help it.
Sure, you can sit.
This is a beautiful title.
Yeah.
CWF has some of the most beautiful titles ever.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I found a picture. I just searched CWF logo. This is Aric Andrews, by the way. How are you, Aric?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about you?
You're worldwide television champion, by the way.
Right.
If Vision.
Well, the E's kind of falling off. You got to see if you push it over.
I wish I had the webcam out. It says Telf Vision.
Well, it doesn't. See, if you just push that E there, see, now you can kind of see it.
The green boots now mean something. Now it's the Telf Vision.
There you go.
The elf boots.
There you go.
Talk about the green boots. Where'd they come from? Everybody's ribbing on you on them last night while we were watching the Rumble from last year.
Yeah, dude. I could care less what anybody says about me. But honestly,
hey, it got you noticed. So.
Oh yeah, here's the thing, and here's the whole.
The man has a dip in his mouth, by the way, folks. They chew tobacco down here in Carolina.
Yeah, Flair does it. I'll do it too. That's the greatest of all time.
So if you hear him pause, that's why.
Honestly, the reason why was because I just wanted to be different, something different. Everybody wears black boots. So, I mean, you might see some guys here and there wearing white boots, but I was always told with white, don't wear white because it makes you look shorter. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's a real thing or not, but that's what I was always told. And so I was just thinking of ways to be different. And I loved Sting when I was a kid. And if you remember Sting always had whatever gear he was wearing, his boots matched.
Right.
The ones that I remember most vividly would be the orange. He would have the orange long tights with the stinger on the side and the orange boots.
Right.
And so I thought, man, I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to separate myself from everybody else. I'm just going to start getting different colored pair of boots to match what's on my gear. So that's what I did, and that's why I went to the blue as well. I got the blue with the blue elbow pad and the blue boots.
And I think another reason why, I don't know if it's like this for you, but a lot of people I see wearing the same gear, like Adler. Adler, when he came back, I'm like, oh my God, he has the same freaking tights on.
Mm-hmm.
Ring gear's expensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Boots are expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Except for now, you can now. Somebody tweeted me a thing a couple weeks back. You can now buy wrestling boots on Walmart.com.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what kind of fucking quality are those boots? Jesus.
Sam Walton wrestling boots.
I'd rip the seams in them things walking to the ring.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're more for cosplay purposes, but
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this title run here. We talked a little bit about it on the after show before.
All right.
This has been an amazing run for you. What has this been like? Is this would you say this is your first major singles run, whether anywhere?
I mean, I've held like other titles in other places, but I call them outlaw shows, just, kind of here and there once a month, things like that. But with this, it's like, everybody knows your character. You are who you are. So it's more, to me, it's more important. So to hold the title for the company, it's a pretty big deal to me, and to hold it for, God, a year and a half almost now, it's a pretty big deal to me.
All right. We have talk a little bit about getting that. I asked CL. CL is sitting right beside us, by the way. Rule number 1 of the after show is I must always put over CL Party.
That's fine. I mean, hey, somebody's got to.
Rule number 2 is now Alley Cat. I got to put over the women here because there's not enough women here for me. But
right.
Anyway, talk a little bit about you. I asked her this. You're now seen on a national basis. We got people from Minnesota here.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to see you lose that damn belt. What is it like for you? A year ago, I would have never imagined we were sitting here doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I was and still am just a bleacher bum. I'm a mark of the crowd. Now, tonight, they're wanting me to record backup commentary, and I'm sitting here doing this with you. So talk a little bit about how this year, just this past year, has been with you holding that title and getting worldwide exposure. Are you seeing the effects of that?
Mainly the only way that I'm seeing the effects of it is on social media, when I actually look at social media.
I was going to say, you're another guy that does not tweet often.
No, not very. Well, I don't have anything to say, And the thing about it is it's just, I've always been in the mindset. I mean, if you're on social media, that's fine. If you want to do social media, that's fine. Nothing against you. But to me, it's just like, who really gives a shit what I have to say?
Let your work speaks for itself.
Yeah. And the thing is it's just, I always knew. I mean, you can call it cocky, you can call it confident, you can call it whatever you want, but I always knew that if I got national exposure, I would be over. just because I know how to get over. I'm old school in that fact of I had a lot of great teachers, and I know how to get myself over, even in times when maybe the company doesn't want to put you over.
Right.
You know, you can lose a match and still get yourself over if you know how to do it. You know, so yeah, it's been a pretty cool experience.
You were trained, I think the last time we had you on, you talked about you were trained up at Boogie's camp. That's what, Shawsville, Virginia? Talk a little bit about training up there, because we had Sis on. Sis is up there too.
Yep.
Lee Valiant was also trained up there?
Yes.
Okay. It's surprising to me how many people down here, that now that you got like George Scott, and you got, or not George South, sorry, and you got everybody else down here. Are you from that Virginia area?
Yes.
So what was it like training up there with Boogie, I guess, is my question, because it amazes me how many people from down here trained up there. Yeah,
and I mean, like, you can even look at Kamikaze Kid was trained up there.
Really?
Yeah. Lance Liu trained up there. Xyris trained up there.
And you can tell that you guys, now that you mention it, there's a style to you guys. You can tell almost where certain people are trained at and how they work.
Yep.
You know?
Okay, so have you ever watched like the older videos? I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s, where they showed the first training camps coming around.
Yeah.
And it's real dingy, and you don't have many lights, and you just have a ring there with nothing else really.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like to train at Boogie's.
I've heard it's like in a barn, or like in a shed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kind of like this.
Yeah, he built it. Boogie built it himself in like '92. He built his own little shed that's on his property near his house. He just walks to it every time they go to training, and he's got a ring just set up. The ring never comes down. The only thing that he does that ring every week is he loosens the ropes at the end of practice and he tightens them back up at the beginning. And I'm gonna tell you what, that ring is probably the hardest ring that any wrestler would ever want to bump in their life.
I've heard that about up there.
Yeah, and it's a very old school feel. It's a very old school mentality. If you want to learn the business, if you want to learn psychology, you can at Boogie's very well. But you have to want to know it. You have to ask questions. You have to pick someone's brain. They're not just going to tell you, because
it's very old school of they make you ask questions.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not.
They're not just going to let you in.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, you have to prove yourself. You have to prove to these guys, because a lot of the thing with Boogie's camp is, and it's nothing against it. A lot of the thing with Boogie's camp is it's just people that, they always had dreams to be wrestlers, which is fine. Everyone that wrestles on this show, at one point in their life when they were kids, decided this is what I want to do. Everyone that goes to Boogie's camp is like that, but whether they don't have the physical ability, the mental ability, they're not going to do anything. They're just there to train, to live their dream, and that's the best they want to do, and that's fine. So you really have to show out that you want to learn this business, and you're not in it just to say that you're a wrestler. Yeah, you want to learn the business for them to take you under their wing.
They want to know that you're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, yeah.
And not going to just give up on it within a year.
And not only that, but they want to see too that you're not going to take it as a joke. Yeah. That you're gonna treat it like a business, and you're going to treat it with the respect that the business deserves. And then you can learn anything you want to up there.
That's the one thing I hate about 2017 here, and even last year, is that there's so many people making a joke out of the business and making money off of it. It's kind of scary in a way.
Well, I was always taught anybody can buy a pair of trunks, put them on, and call himself a wrestler. It takes a special type of person to be a worker.
Like, I imagine if Joey Ryan had came through Boogie's camp, he'd just be written off immediately with the crap he does. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm not asking you to bury Joey Ryan. I don't know if you even know Joey Ryan. But you're talking about very old school. Treat this as a business. Treat it with respect. In my opinion, crap like that isn't respectful.
Well,
and it hurts guys like you that are really trying to do it the way you're doing it.
Yeah. The thing about it is when it comes to this business, you can't look at what someone else is doing and have it affect you. Right. Just because a guy like Joey Ryan is on the scene in California or wherever he is doing that kind of comedy shit, that's fine for him. But people know that when they come here, when they watch our product, they know that they're going to see wrestling.
Well, I've always said that if he was ever booked here, I'm walking out that door until the match is over, and then I'm coming back and taking my seat.
But here's the thing with Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan's a good wrestler. Hey, besides the comedy shit, if you look at Joey Ryan and you watch some of his older stuff before he really started getting high into the quality shit, Joey Ryan is good. And I enjoyed watching Joey Ryan, and I still enjoy watching Joey Ryan. There's always a place for comedy in wrestling. I'm going to use the example of Evan Banks. Evan Banks is probably one of the funniest guys I've ever seen in my life and ever been around in my life. And he does a lot of comedy stuff. But just because he does comedy doesn't mean that he doesn't have respect for the business.
Right.
You know, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it.
And a lot of people sit there and go, well, they're making money doing it. And I'm like, I'm the guy that goes, and maybe it's because I'm not in the business, but I'm sitting there going, money isn't everything. How do you want to be looked at the end of the day? You know, I mean, that right now, people that do that stuff, that's all they're ever going to be known as.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. The thing about it is you can make money in this business, but if I make $300 a week in this business, am I really making money? I'm making money to get myself through that next week, but what about 20 years from now when I'm not in this business?
Is it really going in the bank and making dividends?
Exactly.
It's not, you know.
You're getting yourself by for the next week or the next 2 weeks, but are you really making money in the business? To me, making money in this business is making enough to where you can comfortably live
and not have to work a shoot job.
And not have to work a shoot job, but also to be able to put money aside so that you can retire when that time comes and you're done, you know, and not have to worry about necessarily getting a shoot job, or if you do, doing it because you want to. To me, that's making money in the business.
They've put this title to you, and they've kind of really made you into a really good heel this year. You made yourself into a really good heel, I should say. The booking has helped a lot. Who is the one guy right now, if they had to come to you and say, okay, time for you to go do something else, we're going to take the strap off of you, who do you want to give it to in this company right now?
Ooh.
It's a loaded question.
Because
you've made that title mean a hell of a lot this year.
And honestly, this isn't answering your question, but honestly, that's all I wanted to do with it. I said when I got it, I said, I want to make this title mean something. There's been plenty of television champions that's come through that have been television champion and haven't necessarily made the title mean anything. It's been kind of a forgotten title over the years.
Yeah, it was. There was a point where the RGL title meant more than that until you had it.
Yeah. And my whole thing was, I don't care how long you have it on me. I don't care how long I keep it. I don't care who I lose it to. Just as long as my reign is meaningful, that's all I care about. I care less about anything else. Right now,
I can't pick a guy. That's what's crazy about this. I can't pick a guy.
It's kind of a right time, right place scenario as far as who it would be. If I had to pick, like if it was tonight, if I had to pick somebody for tonight,
the guy who I see doing it, and I know this, it's Kane.
I was thinking of Kane.
It's heel versus heel, and it would work amazingly.
It wouldn't be heel versus heel.
Really? You okay?
No, Kane.
As he walks by,
Kane would be the biggest.
That was totally unscripted.
Kane would be the biggest babyface in the company after I got done with him. Man, I don't know. I can't think
There's
of.
There's nobody right. I think there's nobody right out there right now.
Honestly, this was the whole thing with the television title was. We don't, and even now per se, we don't have a timetable on it. It was more or less of when we know, and that's what's been going on.
And I think more or less we're going to put it on you. We know you're going to show up here. We know you're going to come to work every time we have a show, unless something really, really, people have lives in this business. It's not like WWE where this is, a full-time gig.
Yeah.
To be real, folks. It's, people have shoot jobs and people have lives. But you're going to be here always.
Yep.
And I think that's important to know that, you're always going to be here. They keep that title on you as long as they can or as long as they want to because they know you're always going to be here.
The problem with that, though, also.
Hold on. Did you turn it off? Nope, it's on. Go ahead.
Okay. The problem with that also, though, is it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, I'm going to be here all the time, but you also don't want to oversaturate it.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that timing is just right because it's like the beginning of a roller coaster. You're going up and 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 up, and then when you go over that hump, if you don't do it at the right time, then you've lost it, and the reaction's not going to be there when you do lose it. So you got to make sure it's the right time. The thing about it is we've had, without divulging too much, we've had a couple of instances where it was thought of, okay, we're going to put it on this guy. Let's do it here, this date, blah, blah, blah. And when it comes to that time, it's just, this isn't the right time. So we've gone on with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of been that situation.
How much of an input do you have on that?
It depends. I have a good deal of input on it when I have an idea for it. If I have something that makes sense, that's good business sense, then I have a lot of input. If I was just to come up and they would say, well, you're going to drop it tonight, and I say, no, I don't want to, I'm not going to have any input on it. If I have something to go off of that to say, well, let's do this right here and make it even better, then I'll have a lot of input on it.
The thing that got
and that's usually what happens.
The thing that got brought up the last time was when somebody, oh man, I forget what it is now. Jeff is going to kill me. Somebody touched your title and you didn't absolutely go. Yeah, it was Kane touched your title, and you didn't go ape shit. But I think somebody, I think 2 episodes later, 2 or 3 episodes later, somebody touches Trevor's title and he absolutely goes freaking ape shit. Did that get brought up to you at all?
No. It's a reactionary thing, and the thing about it is you got to think about things from a character standpoint too. My character is calculating, calm. I'm going to pick my spots. So does it make sense for me when somebody's touching my title on the outside? Does it make sense for me to bum rush them and try to beat their ass? To me, that doesn't make sense.
It's like you could touch it all you want, but it's still mine at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trevor is his character is a very, with lack of a better word, manly character of, this is mine, I'm going to protect it at any cost kind of thing. So it makes sense for him.
And I don't think it devalues the belt as much, and I don't think it devalued your character. If anything, now that you said that, it added to your character. It's very much, you're like, go ahead, touch it all you want to. At the end of the day, it's still around my waist.
Exactly, and that's all that matters. You know. And the thing about it too is that makes the title so good for me is that it's a way for me to piss off the company, and I love it. I love doing that.
I want to go back to a little bit about Boogie's camp here with you, because I interviewed Sis, and she was trained up there too, and she mentioned that one of her first shows was with Bruiser Graham for BWF. Shit, this damn microphone. Hold on. Don't hold it by this. The cable's got a short end, and I'm sorry. Have you ever wrestled for BWF before?
Yes, I have. I've wrestled for him a few times.
You have too? You managed him.
Yeah. CL did manage me at one of those shows.
Because I used to go to them a lot back in like 2000, from about 2005 all the way up until I moved, or like till about 2011. I would go.
You saw me.
I probably have, but it's been. For me, those are spot shows because there's really no continuity there.
Right, and I mean, to me,
there doesn't have to be in that part of Virginia.
No, when you have those kind of shows, it's run once a month, and it's always been my standpoint on it, and it's probably why CWF is one of the only companies that's an indie company that runs storylines. Is that what kind of a storyline can you really run month to month when you're running Farmville this month and you're running
Appomattox
the next month? You know, what I mean, are the fans really going to be able to keep up with the continuity of it? Probably not.
One town I always wish they ran, but it's a little bit too far east for them, is Amelia. I grew up in Amelia.
Yeah.
And I grew up in, I always wish they would have went into Richmond a little bit, because Richmond was starving. You had GXW, which is now defunct, and that was about it. I was starving for wrestling in Virginia as a kid. You hear so much of these guys around here who grew up in Memphis, Minnesota, had the AWA, had NWA. Right. I didn't have that down there.
Yeah.
So it was when I saw the BWF, that was one of the first indie shows that I ever went to. And I was like, this is so much better than TV shit, you know?
Well, the thing on that, though, for Virginia, it's not the promoter's fault.
No.
Virginia is such a... Virginia's just assholes when it comes to wrestling.
They are.
They suck. If I'm not mistaken... They
just come to see their wrestling, and that's it, and I hate that.
If I'm not mistaken, I may be off on the numbers, but to even run a show in Virginia, you have to pay $2,500 each show to be a promoter. you have to get insurance on the building, and then you have to get all your wrestlers have to be licensed, and that's $40 per guy, and then because they're paying that $40 for their license, they expect to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way really to run Virginia is to get sponsors. If you don't have sponsors in Virginia and you're an indie promotion, good luck.
And Bruiser and his dad Woody, who's I haven't seen them in a while, but
Yeah.
last time I went to a show of theirs, it was like a few years ago. Woody's still alive and kicking, setting up that gimmick table. They're good at getting sponsors.
Yeah.
He's really good at getting. Burkeville Body Shop, I think, is sponsored every last show they've had.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the only way you can do it, because if you don't get sponsors, what are you going to do? You're going to have to rely on having a sellout crowd? I wouldn't want to do that.
Now, was working the BWF shows, that kind of because he's real tight with Boogie. Boogie has appeared on a lot of his shows.
Right.
Is that kind of like the extension of, would you say, of Boogie's camp, as far as Boogie's camp? Boogie's not running shows.
Mm-hmm. He does one a year, yeah.
One a year.
Yeah.
But is that his way of putting the trainees out there and getting them working in front of a real audience, would you say? Because I always saw BWF, because they use him so much and reference him so much, I've always saw that as an extension of Boogie's camp in a way.
More or less, and I will say this too, talking about Boogie's one show a year. If this will tell you anything about Virginia, just to put it in perspective, Boogie used to run Virginia every year in Shawsville, the Shawsville House. That's where he had a show at every year. Boogie has left Virginia, and he now runs in Rocky Mount, North Carolina every year, because he doesn't want to deal with the Virginia commission. So that just puts it in perspective of how things are there.
Star City WrestleFest is all I can say.
Yeah.
Were you there at that?
Was that the one at the Salem Civic Center?
Yes.
What a clusterfuck that was.
Oh my God! They're claiming that they had TV there in Roanoke, and I'm like, you run in Virginia fucking Beach. There's no way you have TV here.
Dude, are they still in business? There's no way they can still be in business.
Here's the crazy part: is the ring announcer for that was at a big time wrestling event that they were having a few weeks later in Amelia, which nobody came to, and Shane Douglas and Dreamer no-showed on it.
But they had sponsors, so what difference is making nobody shows up to it? You know what I mean?
They didn't. Well, the big time thing, big time wrestling tours all over. They really don't need sponsors.
Yeah.
But my thing was that I saw the ring announcer there, and I looked at him right in his face, and I was like, dude, what a cluster that was, man. I was like, how could he didn't even. The ring announcer, I'm sitting there next to the ring, and the ring announcer somebody goes, you putting on a suit? He goes. Looks around and goes, fuck no, I ain't putting on a suit. Did you see how many people are here?
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, I don't even know who it was that ran the promotion, but I don't have to. What a moron he was. I mean, Jesus Christ. You're in any promotion thinking that you're going to run the Salem Civic Center and make money? The
concessions probably made more money than he did.
Yeah,
that night at the building.
He's a moron. I don't have to meet him.
The biggest highlight of that was I got to meet Cornette.
Well, there
that
you go.
day.
Yeah, I mean,
that was it.
That's worth price of admission alone.
And they ran that thing, and Phil Brown was on that show. I think I was the only one in the building who knew who Platinum Icon Phil Brown was. Shout out
Phil
to him.
Brown, yeah.
He's spilling dip on my table.
That's all right. I'll pick it up.
I don't care. It's not my
It's not even your table.
It's not my table.
No, it isn't. You didn't bring this table from home?
No, I didn't. I offered to. I could have. They told me I didn't need to.
Nah, what's the point?
But don't jump, Johnny P. Johnny P's up in the balcony. But so the BWF, I think, they run a couple shows a year, and they run that damn Tri-County Fair every year.
Yeah.
Where you have to literally sit on A-bells, sit there and watch that show. So let me just say this: it's good for you to see. It's good for me to see somebody who is an awesome as worker as you are.
Thank you.
To get out of that hellhole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing with that is like BWF. You asked about it being an extension. An extension, and to finally answer your question, I wouldn't necessarily call it an extension per se, because it's not like it's not like you go to training every Sunday at Boogie's and they say, okay, there's Bruiser's having a show, in a month in Farmville. Is anybody interested in working it? It's not like that. It's more of if you go, or if Bruiser comes to camp and he sees you and he likes what you're doing, then he'll approach you. If he's not there and you go to Boogie and you say, hey, is there anyone that that's running that I could get on shows, then he'll put a word out for you with Bruiser if he thinks that you can hang. And that's how I got down here more or less. Was I asked Boogie if there was anybody in North Carolina that he knew that he'd get me on a show, and he sent me down to Wentworth with one of his guys working shows, and I got on those shows, and I worked those for probably about a year, and then through that I met Corey Etzel, and
He seems to be the glue around here.
yeah,
That is like responsible for so much in this building. Because his name has popped up the last 2 days more than ever.
Corey Etzel is without a doubt one of the most unselfish people that's ever been in this business. He will help anyone out that is respectful and that he likes. But the thing with Corey doesn't like a whole lot of people. But I mean, even if he doesn't like you, if you're respectful and you show that you want to do this and you show respect for the business, then it'll help you out. So I met Corey and we became friends, and then he told me to get in touch with Brad, and got in touch with Brad, and Brad actually told me later on the one thing that got me over with him before I even came down here was I messaged him to ask him about doing a show down here, a Project X show on Friday night, and he said, yeah, come on down. And I said, do you guys need any help putting up the ring?
And that right there probably was like,
yeah.
He gets it.
Yep.
He's willing to learn.
And that's what he told me. He's like, no, we have the ring set up all the time, but I appreciate you asking. And he told me that that's what was like, okay, I'll give this kid a shot. So.
And you were used to that too. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Shit. You run an indie show in Virginia, you can't hire a ring crew. It's more, like you said, all your money's went to commissions and everywhere else.
If you run any show, really, and that's kind of the problem that I have with these the trainees that come through here. Some of them that have these attitudes that think that they are owed something.
Millennials.
Yeah.
Millennials.
Fucking millennials.
I hate it.
But the guys that come through that think they're owed something, they don't have a fucking clue. Like, they come to this building, the ring's set up, they don't have to do anything. They just have to clean up. And, when I started, I went to a show, got there at about, if show started at 7 o'clock, I got there about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
I was going to say noon, 1 o'clock,
Noon, 1 o'clock, helped set up the ring. When the ring finally got set up, you got in the ring and you trained basically until 5:30, 6 o'clock. You went to the back. You were hopefully on the card. You had your match. You got done with your match. You sat there quietly. You watched matches if you could, if there was a way for you to watch them. You talked, and then after the show was over, you went out, you took down the ring until it was done, and then you drove home. There's plenty of times that I left when I lived in Virginia, and I was coming to Wentworth, North Carolina, which was about a 2-hour drive for me. There were plenty of times that I left home at 10 o'clock in the morning and didn't get home until 3 o'clock in the morning the next day.
And you're lucky if you got a hot dog and a handshake for it.
Yeah, I didn't get paid.
Because you mentioned hope you're on the card.
Mm-hmm.
You've just set up your ring. You better, nowadays a worker's going to be like, I just hope you set up your ring. You're damn well going to book me.
Yeah, they're just, and I don't know, man. It just the sense of entitlement that some of these guys come in here with is just infuriating.
I got 2 teenage kids at home,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing that I can't stand in society.
Yeah.
Is that sense of entitlement. Everybody thinks they're owed something.
Well, the thing about it, I can put up with it in society because I don't really go around that many people anyway. But when it comes when it comes to wrestling,
this is a stretch for me.
I cannot stand it. I hate it with a passion. So.
Kane Justice rolling by in an office chair.
Just trying to get himself over.
I
That's
know. It's not the way to do it. He's flipping them off. Do you only work here? Where else do you work at? Where else can people find you?
I pretty much just work here, and that's by choice. I could work other places, but the thing with me is it's real hard to get me out of my house. Like, I'm very much a homebody. I don't like leaving my house. So I did it for years, but now the thought of driving,
packing gear, lugging a suitcase.
Driving 3 hours to a show, working, driving 3 hours home, getting home at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning is just not. It's just not fun now. I just don't like driving. If I could teleport to shows, I would be on every show I could possibly be on.
I find that a lot of people here that are coming through here today are like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is home.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much home for them. As a fan, I can honestly say this is home for me. It's my second home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go, since I found this, I don't go anywhere else. I can't remember the last time any other indie show I've been to but this.
Well, not to put ourselves over.
Put yourself over.
Not to put our trying to be a little humble, but if you come to a CWF show and you go to another indie show,
it's like cheating on your wife.
It's not even that. It's just like, why? It's because you go to it and you watch it and you're just like, this is the drizzling shit.
Yes, it is. I'll tell you, not to keep circling them back around to BWF, but they were doing that Tri-County Fair show about a few weeks ago, and I tweeted out, my buddy Robert goes, he lives up in Cumberland, Nottoway, that area, and he was going.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, I'd love to, because I don't get to see him that much. I wanted to go just to hang out with him, not even to see the wrestling. Wrestling's a bonus. Me and him are wrestling buddies.
Yeah.
It's what me and him have in common. If it wasn't for wrestling, I don't even think me and him would be friends. It's that type of deal. But I put on Twitter, if I go to that show, is it like I'm cheating on CWF?
Not with BWF, because
And
BWF.
Bruce Mitchell says yes.
No, not with BWF. Those group of guys are some good group of guys. I mean, you got somebody up there, Billy Gibbs, Billy Gibbs is as good as anyone I've ever seen in the ring anywhere.
Him and Beef had some classic matches back in the day.
Billy Gibbs right now has got to be in his. I mean, I don't want to say his age because I don't know for sure, but he's got to be late 30s, early 40s.
I'll put it to you this way: back in like 10 years ago, he had gray hair then.
Yeah, and Billy Gibbs, I worked Billy Gibbs, and Christy actually managed me, and I worked Billy Gibbs. Billy Gibbs is still one of the best guys that I've ever worked at 40 years old. That guy can go, and here's the thing with Billy. Billy could have made it if he wanted to. He chose not to. He had the opportunity.
That's crazy to me, to think that he could have had a shot, and he doesn't want it.
He had his family, and he didn't want to be away from home that much.
And he's a guy, like, I say you're always going to be a guy here with that title that shows up. He's a guy on Bruiser's End that he's at every show.
Oh, yeah.
He's at every show. He worked the Tri-County Fair.
And Billy's Billy can go anywhere. I mean, me and Brad talked about it. We want Billy down here, but Billy's another one of those guys. He's got his family at home. He wants to spend time with his family. He doesn't want to travel, so he just stays in his area.
Did you ever go to work any of the Hermie Sadler shows when he was running that?
I did not.
You didn't?
No, because that was
too far east for you.
Well, not even that. The Hermie Sadler shows I think that was before my time because I started in 2008. And I really didn't get started until 2009. Yeah,
okay.
I really didn't get started as far as like working shows until 2009. So I think the Hermie Sadler was like 06, 05, 06, 07 maybe. So that was a little bit before my time.
Crazy thing about that WrestleFest, you mentioned commissions and stuff. Kyle O'Reilly was at that show doing the autograph signing. He's supposed to wrestle. The commissioner there, this old fart of a man.
Probably Dave Holland.
I don't even know his name. He's not even worth me really mentioning. But he refused to give Kyle O'Reilly a license for that night. Reason why? He just did not want to fool with the paperwork.
Yep, that's how they do.
That's how they do it here.
Yep. And now they do it to where they don't even do same-day licenses anymore. It used to be you could either – Like I remember a few shows like what was it AWE or something that they would have Kevin, like the ones that did Kevin Nash and Ricky Morton. Was that AWE?
Oh, that was the oh my God, Burt Ward, I think it was his name.
Yeah, but wasn't it like AWE?
That freaking Carney.
Yeah. But see, like Kevin Nash, okay, from what I was told, Kevin Nash did that show. He didn't have a Virginia license. He did a one-day Virginia license beforehand, and you paid like $40 for it, and you just had it for that day.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. It used to be if you went on to a show in Virginia and you didn't have a license, you could sign up for it that night and it would be good for the rest of the year. And they don't do that anymore. Now you have to deal with the commission before you even get on a show.
Talk about a little bit about the Riot. That, to me, you had the Kill Billies thing and then the Riot thing and everything. The Riot was just – I started to come near the end of that run.
Uh-huh.
The first show I ever went to, you guys came out of that corner over there. Of course, it's a podcast, but it's the back corner of the arena. You walked right by me. Kane cut up one of his freaking amazing heel Nick cut a hell of a promo. Hell of a heel promo. I miss heel Nick.
Yeah.
But I miss the Riot, actually. It's weird to say that I miss factions with an indie company, but I miss the Riot. When it was you, Valiant, and Nick.
Yeah. Oh, the Dawsons too.
The Dawsons were there, but I never saw a show where you guys teamed with them. I guess the Dawsons had kind of split away by the time I was coming. The Riot was at the very end of the run. I think Lee Valiant had cut that, it's the first time I saw Brad cut a promo. Was on Lee talking about how you slept on my couch, you son of a bitch, all that shit. That was the show that I think that was the very first show I went to.
Right.
You guys had some fucking heat in this building.
Here's the thing with the Riot, and here's the reason why the Riot worked. The formation of the Riot. Now, this is just talking. I mean, the Dawsons obviously belong in this because they were a big part in getting it started, and they were a big part of it down the line as well. But the three guys, Nick, Lee, and myself, the reason why the Riot worked was because it was real.
Yeah.
Everything that we said about this company, everything that we said about anyone, Brad Stutz, that is 100% the way that we felt. Because we felt that we were a group of guys, especially me, because I had a huge chip on my shoulder. And I still do to a degree.
I was going to say, you still do.
Still
it comes
do.
through in your work brilliantly.
Still do. We 100% believed, fuck this company. Because for one reason or another, we felt like that we had our backs turned on us. We weren't given the opportunities that we thought we should have been.
You
when
literally
other
were
people
treated like the odd man out.
Exactly. And so that's why it worked, because it was real. And anything that Brad said during that time as far as promos go, that was real. That was 100% real, and that's why it worked. I asked to be in it. Once we did the thing with Evan where I walked out on the Killbillies when he didn't show up to a show, when he didn't show up to Battlecade, I was sitting there and I watched the night the Riot was formed, and as soon as Lee walked into the back, I said, I'm in. I said, I'm in. I don't care what they say, I'm in. And that's what we did. It was real.
It comes off, it's one of the things that I think wrestling is lacking today is organic. This is the thought of shit being organic. You know, you look at not to bring up WWE, but you look at Roman Reigns. It's not freaking organic. John Cena, that's not organic.
Yeah.
What happened with Daniel Bryan to me? Organic. Shit like the Riot, now that you bring it up, organic.
It's one of those things. Honestly, the only way that you get organic in wrestling is when shit goes sour.
Yeah.
So it has to be bad as far as
when
the
you're
locker
backed
room.
into that corner.
It has to be for it to be organic. Yeah, it just at that time I was pissed off, and I was pissed off to the fact of I'm going to show you motherfuckers what you're missing.
Why were you pissed off?
For years, and I mean, if you watch
Kane and
if you watch, I'm not.
I don't have the camera on, but Kane and Smith, I believe, are shooting on the floor over here.
That's fine.
It's a legitimate shoot. It happens all the time. That's why I'm not commenting on it.
The reason I was pissed off was if you go back and you watch any of those shows when
I'm trying to get a story out of this man, and Johnny P's like, look at the two guys rolling around on the linoleum.
When if you go back and watch when me and Evan were together for probably about a year and a half or so, you listen to Brad Studd's commentary and you hear Eric Andrews, the most underrated wrestler in CWF. And
I'm sick of being fucking underrated.
Yeah, at first it's a great compliment. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm one of the best here. Thank you for appreciating me.
But then you look at him and go, while, you like, got the book, motherfucker.
Exactly. 100%. After a while, I'm looking at him and I'm like, why am I underrated? It's because of you. That's why I'm underrated.
Not to bash Stutzy, but it's like, I hate when a booker calls somebody on commentary underrated, because it's like, that means you're not doing your fucking job.
It's not even that. It's not even the fact that he's not doing his job. It's the fact of you obviously can see it, so do something with it. But he didn't. He had other things in mind, and that's fine. I mean, you got to wait your turn sometimes, but after a while, I got sick of fucking waiting my turn. So, and me and him had it out one night, and I told him more or less just that. I'm tired of waiting. The thing with me too was like all these guys, nothing against them, but these guys like Chet and at the time like Chris Lee and guys like that who to me had been in it for a cup of coffee are getting these huge opportunities, and I'm over here just kind of sitting and waiting, and it's like
enough is enough.
Yeah, enough's enough. What the fuck?
And even like that now, I feel like as much as I like these guys, Trevor, Andrew, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
You're still going to be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I hope more things happen for you like it does for them. But you said you don't like. I can't see you going out to Bola because you said you don't like leaving the fucking house. No, so it's like, I got the what they call the Jeff Hardy syndrome. Yeah. You want to be at home and be an artist.
I don't even want to be an artist. I just want to be at home
watching TV.
But if they offer me the right amount of money, then I'll leave my house. You want to give me, if they want me to do Bola, you want to give me $1,000 or $2,000 to do Bola, then I guess I'm going to leave my house. And you can
money talks.
You know what I mean? Yeah, money talks.
We say money isn't everything, but
money is everything.
Oh, come on.
Money is
come on now.
Yeah, but the person.
If money was everything, I wouldn't have been doing this 12 years. I haven't made a dime off of it.
The person who said the guy who came up with the tagline "Money doesn't buy happiness" had to be rich, because if you give me $100, I'm going to smile all day long.
They're still rolling around on the floor. Golly, one of them in cowboy boots, no less. So. It's been going on for 10 minutes.
People having sex right outside your podcast, and you're not.
Nick, we're trying to have a podcast here. I'm trying to talk.
Oh, that's line of the day. He's got beer on his breath, and he's sitting there saying this shit. Anyway, I kind of feel your pain on that, because me in the podcasting world I've been like that for 12 years.
Yeah.
It's like I see these guys who have been doing this shit for 2 years. And they got a pro wrestling tee store, and they got it on iTunes, and they're making money off of it, and they could quit their fucking day job doing it.
Pro wrestling tees is the biggest gimmick I've ever seen in my life.
And Mecca was another guy who was like, I'm just happy doing this on my own. He didn't even get it.
Pro wrestling tees is the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever seen in my life. All it has to do with is how many Twitter followers you have. What the fuck difference does it make how many Twitter followers you have? I can go out here and follow 1,000 people, and they'll probably follow me back, and then look at that, I got 1,000 followers.
It's happening to me right now. I got 500, over 500, or 400 now because of it.
But nothing against you. But look at those 500 people. If you really looked at those 500 people that are following you, how many of them actually know you?
True.
You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know them.
So look at these
I'm glad you're listening, but I don't know you.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about it is, too, is like you have fans that have T-shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees because they have a certain amount of Twitter followers, and it's just the day that fans.
CL's rolling her eyes.
The day that fans get T-shirts.
That's because CL secretly wants a pro wrestling tee store.
To me, the day that a wrestling fan got a T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees is the day that they lost all credibility for being a professional wrestling.
Fucking Joe Cronin has a damn thing, and I'm just like, Cronin is one of the most offensive people on YouTube to me. I'll listen to his shit, but how can a guy in 2017 openly say the crap he does and have that big of a following? I mean, I curse like a sailor, and I've pissed your girlfriend off a couple times on Twitter, but I don't think I've ever been that crude, you know?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, and I look at Brian Zane, and Brian Zane's we're wrestling with regret. I don't know if you ever checked his shit out.
No.
He does like the angry video game nerd, only with wrestling. But he's in the business. He's a manager, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you see guys, like if I was to open up a pro wrestling tee store tomorrow, which is for me is a goal. I mean, who doesn't want to make money at this? But I'm like, I want to get there. The goal is to get there for me, just to see people because it brings more people into the show. I don't stand to make money off of it. I don't expect to make money off of it. And Mecca was saying he's making money doing it his way.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the question of why are you not out here selling gimmicks?
Because I'm a heel.
Doesn't matter nowadays.
No, it matters.
Doesn't
matters to me. If I come out here and I sell a 5-year-old kid a T-shirt of mine,
they're not gonna
what's going to happen when I walk out of that curtain? That kid is going to cheer me.
But the NWO were hated and had merch.
Doesn't matter. They weren't hated. The NWO wasn't hated. They were cheered.
Yeah.
They were the cool bad guys.
I
don't want to be a cool bad guy.
I look at it this way. Look at the Young Bucks. I hate them. And I'm supposed to hate them. That's what people go, why do you hate the Young Bucks? I'm like, they're fucking heels. You're supposed to hate them. When I for a couple months subscribed to Wrestle Crate, and I got a Too Sweet Me T-shirt. I was pissed off. The thing was filled with Young Bucks merch. I was pissed off.
But the thing about it is what actions and what have they done to make you hate them?
They've made a business out of making a mockery of the business.
But that's not the reason why you're supposed to hate them.
But then again, they are heels. They're booked as heels. If you look at Japan stuff, that Bullet Club is supposed to be a heel faction.
But they're cool.
They're cool heels, NWO-ish, you know?
To me, there's no such thing as a cool heel. If you're a cool heel, you're a babyface.
Wow.
I mean,
that's strong words. I like that.
You're going to get cheered. When the moment that if I walk out of that curtain and 51% of those fans cheer me and 49% boo me, I'm a babyface.
But I look at it this way.
Doesn't-
now that you're saying this, you have a Aric Andrews shirt on now.
Mm-hmm. That's for me, though.
That's for you.
I'm not going to have nobody else going to be
Look at
wearing
this
it.
cool fucking shirt. Eat it.
Yeah,
I
nobody
like
else
that.
is going.
I
I'm not
like
going to
that.
sell it to anybody because the second that I start selling merch to fans is the second
Was
that,
it as
that I
good for
stop
you,
being a
Kane,
heel.
as it was for him?
The moment I start selling T-shirts to fans is the moment that I stop being a heel. Period. That's the way that I was taught. And that's and if you look at it, then that's
I
the
know
way
some
it is.
baby faces that don't do it though around here, and it pisses me off to see that. It's like here it is. People are mainly making money on merch nowadays instead of matches. It's crazy though.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about it is too is there's a way to sell merch and there's a way not to sell merch, and I'm going to give you a little tip on that too.
Go ahead.
Guys, workers, if you're selling merch, do not have your girlfriend around. Do
The gimmick
not
table.
have-
No.
because they're going to run off more fans by people knowing that they're your girlfriend than anything else will.
You brought up Kevin Nash earlier. Kevin Nash said to this day his wife doesn't know what's going on at a show. He never brings his wife has never been around the business.
The only reason that my girlfriend is around the business is because she got in it before we started dating.
Talk about how that works. Is it hard to have a relationship built out of wrestling?
Mm-mm.
Is it easier?
No, it's not easier. Just it depends on what kind of person you are.
It's different.
It's different, but it depends on what kind of person you are. I mean, I'm going to be me. She's going to be her when we're in this building. But when we're not in this building, we have our own lives. We have our regular life, and we have wrestling life.
That's what's up. There you go.
And I mean, they don't intertwine. You know.
I like the fact that she boos the fuck out of you when you come out, as opposed to other people around here who have their mothers come to here and cheer.
The reason why she does is because I told her if she ever cheered me when I'm a heel, then we're going to have problems.
Then it'll intertwine.
Yeah, because then she's ruining what
You're
I'm
ruining
trying
the
to
business.
accomplish. It's not even ruining the. She's ruining what I'm trying to accomplish. I can't stand that shit. Why are you going to try so hard to be a heel and then have your girlfriend cheer for you? She's going to ruin what you're working for.
And I brought it up to Kane when we interviewed him here on the after show that there's been nights where he's been in this building and his mother has absolutely ruined the match.
Mm-hmm.
It's killed his heat.
And I can't blame her for that.
No, I mean,
because that's his mom.
that's her son.
But he needs to say, look, either do this or when I come out, walk out of the building and watch it later on.
It's funny. I asked Stutz. Here's a little inside thing that people won't know because it was outside the panel. I asked Stutz last night while we were watching the Rumble from last year. I was like, "Have you gone to her and told her, smarten her up?" Said here, and he said, "Yeah." It just doesn't do any good.
But that's not Brad's job. Brad's job is not to smarten someone up to how they should act.
When it's affecting the overall flow of your show, and as a booker, when it's affecting the overall flow of your show,
but
then it becomes your business.
But that's not his place to say that.
Yeah, you're right. It's his place to go to him, to go to
Kane to say, hey, you need to do something here. And then it's his responsibility to go and take care of the situation.
And it's almost gotten to a point where she's become a character.
Yeah. More or less. I mean,
talk about your future. What's left for you here? I mean, obviously heavyweight champion.
Oh yeah.
But as from a wrestler standpoint, how do you keep growing? Because they say the day you stop learning and the day you stop growing is the time you have to get out.
The philosophy for me with wrestling has always been, and it's not. I mean, some people may get upset about it, but the philosophy for me has always been: it's easy to learn moves.
Yeah.
Anybody can do moves. It's easy to do that. The hard thing is having a crowd in the palm of your hand and knowing how to get people to react to you. So the way that I learn more and more each day is different techniques of how I can make a match make more sense, make a crowd react in a way that I want them to. So that's my learning philosophy. More or less, instead of just doing moves, I can watch a pay-per-view and say, "Oh, that's a cool move. I want to do that next time."
But what does it mean? It's easy to do a cool move, but context is a word that keeps coming up this weekend.
You got to know where to put it. You got to know
why you're doing it,
and a lot of things too with the guys, which I've done it plenty of times in matches that I know that people don't. There may be a move like, let's just say, sidewalk slam. I do a sidewalk slam all the time. And I like doing sidewalk slam. But if I'm in a match and I want to do a sidewalk slam, and it doesn't make sense anywhere in that match, I'm not going to do it.
And there's been matches where you haven't pulled it out and won with other things, like that big boot.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, I'm not going to do it because it doesn't make sense in that context. There's so many people that they have 4 moves they like to do, 3 moves they like to do, whatever, and it doesn't matter how that match is going, what's going on in that match, what the story of that match is. They want to get those 3, 4 moves in every time.
Yeah.
And what's the point of it? Because you're building a match at the beginning. If we go out and we wrestle for 15 minutes and we're at the 10-minute mark and we've built a beautiful match and we've got the crowd up and down and up and down, and they're getting louder and louder and louder, and we're just keep building and we put 10 minutes worth of work into it, and then I do one thing that doesn't make sense that loses that crowd, then what the fuck was the point of the other 10 minutes?
What's the other stuff, yeah.
What was the point of the other 10 minutes?
It's all like I always say, and there's so many matches here in this building. For the fans, you have to come out to this building and just experience it live. It's one thing to experience it on YouTube, but I call
YouTube doesn't do it justice.
I call it the yo-yo effect, and there's so many matches, including yours, that do that. That brings them up, brings them down, brings them up, brings them down, and I feel like that's a lost art in wrestling nowadays.
The philosophy of wrestling always, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to matches, is you bring them up to a certain point, then you bring them back down. Then you bring them even higher to another point, then you bring them back down. Then you bring them up even higher, then you bring them back down. Until you reach to a point, no matter how long it takes, until you reach to a point where you don't think they can get any higher, and then you give them what they want, or you give them what they don't want.
I want to ask just one question. Okay, I was going to ask him what was your reaction when you went to him and told him you were fed up, but Brad Stutz, he mentioned how he came to you right before he joined the Riot, and that angle was pretty much real. Everything they were saying was real. What was your reaction when a guy from a member of the boys comes to you and goes, "I'm fed up with this shit. Why are you calling me underrated? Use me if I'm so underrated."
If I remember correctly, the exact quote was, "The Dangerous Alliance needs a stunning Steve." If I remember correctly, that was the exact quote. No, there was a lot of validity to that. No one wants to be the guy who's thought of as underrated, and I think if you hear that enough, you want to do anything and everything to make sure you get that ability or that opportunity to live up to your potential. So I think that there was a lot of real feelings behind that.
You've done your interview with me this year. Thank you. I'll see you next year. And we're going to leave it there. I've done almost an hour with you. They said in the itinerary I'm only supposed to go 10 minutes. I've gone an hour with you and an hour with Mecca.
Oh, that's fine.
I want to ask you here, besides wrestling, what else are you into before we wrap it up here?
Just in general.
Yeah, what do you watch on TV?
I love horror.
Horror. Okay.
Horror. Any kind of horror, especially like 80s horror. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Are you a fan of all these remakes? Like I watched Carrie the other day.
I haven't seen that one.
And then I went back and watched the original, and I'm like, I like the remake better. The
Really?
remake is a little bit more scary. They're covering her with more blood. Carrie's not really a horror movie anyway in my book.
Yeah.
It's not scary. But what is your favorite horror movie? Who's your guy? Freddy, Jason, Mike Myers?
Oh, in that sense, Michael Myers.
They're redoing Halloween.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
heard
hear?
that. Yeah, I heard that. It's supposed to be a continuation after the original second one, is what I was told.
Well, actually, it's after the first one. They said the second one doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love the second one. That's one of my favorite
Yeah.
ones. But no, like as far as remakes go, like I like the remake of Halloween that Rob Zombie did. I thought he did a great job. I love the backstory he told with Michael Myers.
I felt like that was something we didn't get enough in the original.
Yeah, and I love that. The Nightmare on Elm Street remake was atrocious. It was the drizzling shits. The Friday the 13th remake was really good. We just went recently and saw the remake of It, and I love that.
I loved that too. That was amazing. The
Yeah.
only thing that really got me in that one was the projector scene, but it's like you can do horror and not really scare anybody. It can be suspenseful. It's horror to me, for lack of a better term, is designed to be a mind fuck in a way.
Yeah.
And it was a total mind fuck because you have to wrap around to your fact that these are kids.
Yeah, and the other thing too that's really good with horror, that if it's done right, is like there might not even be one murder in a horror movie, and it's still a great horror movie, just because of, like you said, the suspense and who your main guy is and how they do it. It's so, and I kind of use horror a little bit for wrestling, if you can believe that. Like if you watch Michael Myers, he's not in a hurry to do anything. He's
The way he
very,
walks.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very tactful. He's very.
I can see that
you know
about
what I
you,
mean?
yeah.
And that's how I am. You're always thinking, cerebral, I guess is the word. So, I mean, you can take anything away from anything and make it into wrestling. So.
Nothing. Everything that's old is new again too.
Oh yeah. Oh, that man. I'm gonna tell you what.
That's what I love about all these kids now that are getting into the business now that are going. This is so great. This is so great. I'm sitting there going, it was done 10 years ago, and they had 10 times more fans watching it.
Well, the thing about that is, though, like you're talking 10 years ago. 10 years ago to me is an old. I wouldn't do anything from 10 years ago. But honestly, not to give too many of my secrets away. That's where I get ideas from for like angles for myself is Continental,
Yeah.
old Mid-Atlantic, old AW. Like I mean, AWA didn't really have too many angles, but that kind of stuff to me, because I'll say something about it and I'll come up with it. And Brad's good about it because Brad's as big of a nerd about wrestling as I am. I'll say I want to do this angle. Remember when they did this in Continental? He'd be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and we'll go with that. And then I'll do it, and then it never fails. One time, somebody will come up to me. Like one of the boys will come up to me and be like, man, that was awesome. Like, how'd you think of that? And I'll just be like, it was done in Continental in 1983 with Robert Fuller and, whoever. So, yeah, that's what I like doing.
We're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
so much. We've got an hour. I wanted it to have this kind of interview the first go round.
Yeah.
Honestly, this was amazing. Not that the first interview was bad, but this is what the first interview should have been. And I think Jeff will agree with that because Jeff was even questioning himself after that. But thank you so much.
Appreciate it, man.
Good luck tonight in the Rumble.
Thank you.
And folks, we will be right back with somebody else here at FanCon.